Imagine waking up one morning, checking your bank account, and realizing that the money you thought was yours is no longer there. Not stolen, not hacked, but legally reassigned. Imagine logging into your brokerage account and seeing your investments frozen, your retirement account locked, and your financial future rewritten without your consent. This isn't a dystopian novel. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's a scenario that could unfold in our lifetime. And it's called The Great Taking. Stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to break down will change the way you look at ownership, wealth, and the system we've all been trained to trust. Before we dive in, make sure you like, share, and subscribe if you want more great Angry Guy content. I'm here to break down the things most people don't want to talk about, and I do it with clarity and intensity. If you want to keep getting this kind of content, hit that button right now. And let me tell you something important. If you want to protect and safeguard your assets, if you want to grow your wealth and learn how to buy, sell, and trade crypto with confidence, you need to check out Angry's Crypto Academy. It's linked in the description of this video. Don't wait until it's too late. Go check it out now and start building the kind of financial resilience that the system doesn't want you to have. Now, let's get into it. The Great Taking is not just a catchy phrase, it's the name of a book written by David Webb, a man who spent decades inside Wall Street. He wasn't some outsider ranting on the internet. He managed billions, worked with hedge funds, investment banks, and even former Treasury secretaries. He saw the system from the inside, and what he describes is chilling. He claims that over the last few decades, a quiet, calculated shift has taken place in our financial system. A legal structure has been set up that, if triggered, could allow all financial assets to be seized: stocks, bank deposits, retirement accounts, all of it. And here's the kicker: it wouldn't be theft, it would be completely legal. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds insane. How could something like that even be possible? But when you start digging into the way our assets are held, the role of clearinghouses, and the language buried in the Uniform Commercial Code, it starts to make sense. The system has been quietly rewritten, and most people don't even realize it. Let me paint the picture for you. Imagine it's a Tuesday, just another day on Wall Street. Somewhere in the background, deep inside a back office that most people have never heard of, someone notices something unusual. A guy working in IT for a large clearinghouse stumbles across a dormant line of code buried deep in the settlement protocols. It's labeled Emergency Continuity Override. Sounds harmless, right? But when he digs deeper, he realizes this code is tied to a series of protocols added after 2008, updated during COVID, and quietly woven into the system. The language is cold: clinical, securitized obligations, systemic interruptions, entitlement reallocation. What does that mean? It means that if the financial system hits a certain threshold of stress, your brokerage doesn't just freeze, your assets can be legally reassigned. Think about that for a second. We've been trained to believe that when we buy stocks or hold cash in the bank, that money is ours. But the truth is, we don't really own it. Most financial assets today, stocks, ETFs, even cash balances, aren't held in your name. They're held in something called street name, under the control of clearinghouses and custodians. You don't have a deed to your shares of Apple or your index fund. What you really have is a security entitlement, a kind of IOU that says you're entitled to the value, but not the actual asset. And in an emergency, those entitlements can be restructured, collateral can be reassigned, and the fine print you agreed to allows it. This is the foundation of the Great Taking. It's not about theft, it's about a legal distinction that most people don't even know exists. And in a moment of crisis, that distinction could be the difference between having wealth and watching it vanish into the system. Now, let's walk through how this could actually unfold. At first, nothing seems out of the ordinary. Stocks are volatile, but that's normal. The Fed is still giving press conferences. Unemployment numbers look decent. But beneath the surface, cracks are forming. The repo market starts to seize credit spreads widen. A few large funds begin dumping assets quietly. No panic, no headlines, but the smart money is running for the exits. Then a major institution halts withdrawals from its high yield money market fund. The reason? Out of an abundance of caution. That's when the whispers start. Is this it? The financial system isn't built on money, it's built on trust. And once trust starts to crack, things go downhill fast. Headlines start to trickle in. A big pension fund rebalances defensively. A tech unicorn lays off half its staff. A foreign central bank raises rates in a surprise move, and the dollar surges overnight. That surge isn't strength, it's a scramble for liquidity. Suddenly, there's talk of coordinated global action. The Fed, the ECB, the Bank of Japan, they all hold emergency meetings, and instead of injecting liquidity, they pull the trigger on the plan that's been sitting quietly in the background for years. Our emergency asset continuity protocol activated. This is the moment where the great taking begins. At first, it's subtle. People wake up and see longer wait times on their banking apps. Others notice a missing balance in their brokerage account, a blank line where the number should be. Then a notice appears. Temporary maintenance. Please check back later. Most people don't panic. Not at first. The language is soft, enhancing security, temporary restrictions due to high transaction volume. But as the hours tick by, the messages change. Banks begin limiting withdrawals. Wire transfers are paused. Credit cards stop working for certain purchases. Investment platforms are locked. Retirement accounts are flagged as under resolution review. And suddenly, you can't access your money. The media calls it a temporary stabilization event. The Fed chair steps up to the mic and says, "We've taken decisive action to ensure the continuity of financial markets and prevent further contagion." Sounds reassuring, right? But what he doesn't say is that under this emergency protocol, assets held through clearinghouses, custodians, and brokerage platforms are no longer yours, not because someone stole them, not because of a hack, but because the system was designed to allow this. You were never the legal owner to begin with. You were a beneficial claimant holding a placeholder. And in an emergency, that placeholder just got reassigned. Stocks pledged as collateral, bonds reallocated to counterparties, cash converted into central bank digital currency credits, programmable, trackable, limited in where and how you can spend them. No vote, no warning, just a statement that this is necessary to preserve order. And just like that, the great taking is no longer a theory, it's reality. By the time most people understand what happened, it's already done. Their wealth hasn't vanished. It's been absorbed, legally, structurally, quietly. After the lockdown comes the restructuring. The panic fades fast, not because people are okay, but because they have no choice. Within days, the Treasury, the Fed, and a few handpicked private firms roll out the solution. They call it the Federal Stability Credit. It's a central bank digital currency issued automatically to every citizen. Not cash, not dollars, you can hold. A programmable credit tied to your phone, your ID, maybe even your tax profile. It comes with limits, where you can spend it, how fast you need to use it, what it can be used for. It can be paused, adjusted, revoked, and it's marketed as a lifeline. No more uncertainty, no more risk. Your money is safe because it's now part of the system. The message is clear. You'll own nothing. But don't worry, we'll make sure you have what you need. Soon this becomes the new normal. Entire industries reorganize. Investment firms stop taking direct deposits. They distribute entitlement credits through a national digital wallet. Small businesses apply for allocation licenses to receive structured income. Traditional banks are rolled into something called the National Collateral Management System. The stock markets still exist, but you can't participate the way you used to. Ownership is now limited to accredited institutions, the ones that pledged support during the collapse. Hey guys, in a world pushing you to own nothing and be happy, crypto is your key to survival. Join Angry's Crypto Academy to master buying, selling, and trading crypto. Make huge profits and safeguard your wealth. Plus, discover the one crypto virtually no one is talking about, poised to create new millionaires in the upcoming bull run. The link is in the description of the video below. Go check it out now. Your 401k has been converted. Your home equity reindexed. Everything feels like it's still there. But the control, the access, that's all been rewritten. And here's the part no one says out loud: it wasn't stolen, it was taken back by the system that always owned it. We just didn't know it until now. This is the new economy. Not capitalist, not socialist, something else entirely. One where ownership is a privilege, not a right. And for most people, that privilege is gone. Now, I know this sounds like science fiction, but here's the uncomfortable truth. Every single mechanism in that story already exists. The legal shift from ownership to entitlements happened years ago. The infrastructure for central bank digital currencies is already being tested in over 100 countries. Emergency powers to seize or reassign assets are already written into law. The infrastructure for clearinghouses to reallocate collateral is already in place. The precedent for freezing accounts in times of crisis has already been set. And the narrative that this is all for your safety, for the stability of the system, has already been rehearsed. The only thing missing is the trigger event, the collapse, the panic, the moment when the system decides it's time to activate the plan. That's when the great taking becomes real. Let's step back and ask the hard question. Why would they do this? Why would the system want to seize assets from ordinary people? The answer is leverage. The financial system is built on debt, and debt requires collateral. When the system runs out of collateral, it has two choices: collapse or seize more. And what better collateral than the trillions sitting in retirement accounts, brokerage accounts, and bank deposits? It's not about stealing from you, it's about using your assets to backstop their survival. You become the collateral, your wealth becomes the buffer, and the system lives on while you're left with entitlements that can be, yes, adjusted, limited, or revoked. This is the story of control. Ownership has always been the illusion. The reality is that the system owns everything, and you're allowed to participate as long as it benefits them. When it no longer benefits them, the rules change. And because the rules were rewritten decades ago, you don't even have a legal claim to fight back. That's the brilliance of the great taking. It's not theft, it's not fraud, it's the law. Now, let's talk about what this means for you. If you're sitting on a pile of assets in traditional accounts, you need to understand the risk. I'm not saying dump everything tomorrow. I'm saying recognize that the system is fragile. And when it breaks, your assets are the first line of defense. That's why I keep telling people to diversify into things the system can't easily seize: physical assets, decentralized assets, crypto held in cold storage, not on an exchange, land, property, commodities, things that don't exist as entitlements in a clearinghouse ledger. Because when the system activates its emergency protocol, those are the only things that remain outside its reach. Let me give you a scenario. Imagine you've got $100,000 in a brokerage account. You've worked hard, saved, invested wisely. One day, the market tanks and the system activates the protocol. Your account is frozen. You get a notice that your assets have been converted into federal stability credits. You can't sell, you can't withdraw, you can't transfer. You're told that your credits will be honored, but only within the new system. You go to buy groceries and the cashier tells you your credits don't work for certain items. You try to pay rent and the landlord says he doesn't accept credits. Suddenly, your wealth is useless, not gone, but useless. And you realize that the system didn't just take your money, it took your freedom. That's the heart of the great taking. It's not about money, it's about control. When you don't own anything, when everything you have is conditional, you're no longer free. You're dependent. And dependency is the ultimate form of control. That's why this matters. That's why you need to pay attention. Because once this happens, there's no going back. The system won't give you ownership again. It will give you entitlements, credits, permissions, and you'll be told to be grateful. Now, let's connect this to the bigger picture. The great taking isn't just about finance. It's about society. It's about reshaping the relationship between individuals and institutions. It's about moving from a world where people believe they own things to a world where ownership is obsolete. And once ownership is obsolete, autonomy is gone. You can't resist, you can't opt out because you don't control anything. That's the future they're building. And if you don't prepare, you'll be swept into it without even realizing it. So what do you do? If I'm shot once for first, you educate yourself. That's why I keep telling you to check out Angry's Crypto Academy, because crypto, when held properly, is one of the few tools we have left to resist the shift. It's not perfect, it's not invincible, but it's decentralized. It's outside the clearinghouse system. And if you know how to buy, sell, and trade it safely, you have a lifeline. You have something the system can't easily seize. That's why the Academy exists, to give you the knowledge and tools to protect yourself. Don't wait until the system activates the protocol. Learn now, prepare now, act now. Second, you need to rethink what wealth means. Wealth isn't just numbers on a screen. Wealth is control, autonomy, freedom. If your wealth is locked in a system that can take it away, it's not wealth, it's a liability. Real wealth is something you can touch, something you can use, something you can defend. That's why physical assets matter. That's why decentralized assets matter. That's why knowledge and skills matter. Because those are things the system can't take from you. Third, you need to spread the word. Most people have no idea this is even possible. They think their bank account is safe, their retirement account is untouchable, their investments are theirs. They don't realize that the legal structure has already shifted. They don't realize that they're holding entitlements, not ownership. And when the system activates, they'll be blindsided. That's why you need to talk about this. Share this video, start the conversation. Because the more people understand, the harder it becomes for the system to pull this off quietly. Let me leave you with a story. Picture a man in his 60s. He's worked his whole life, saved diligently, invested wisely. He's looking forward to retirement, to traveling, to spending time with his grandkids. One day, he wakes up and finds his retirement account frozen. He calls his broker and they tell him it's part of the emergency stabilization protocol. He asks when he can access his money, and they say it's been converted into federal stability credits. He asks what that means, and they tell him it's for his safety. He hangs up the phone, sits down at his kitchen table, and realizes that everything he worked for is gone. Not stolen, not hacked, legally reassigned. That's the great taking. And that's the future we're heading toward if we don't prepare. So I'll ask you this. What do you think? Do you agree with what I've laid out? Do you see the risk? Or do you think the system will protect you? Leave a comment below and share your thoughts. I want to hear what you think, because this isn't just my perspective. This is a conversation we all need to have. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away in cheers.
Nothing says you care like crypto. Nothing can compare. Nothing says you care like crypto. Oh, nothing. nothing can compare to crypto.